Okay, so today we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing integers. We've already discussed adding and subtracting. Multiplying and dividing have completely different rules. So make sure that you separate the two in your notebook. So write at the title, multiply, and you can abbreviate, and divide integers. Okay, so write this string down with me. If you want to pause the video and write it all down, that way you can watch me, please do so now. Okay, I'm going to go through it, so make sure you have paused if you were going to write them down. 5 times 3 is 15. What's 5 times 2? 10. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 0 is 0. So what's happening here is we are reducing, we are subtracting by 5 each time. So if I go 5 minus 5 is 0, what's 0 minus 5? It's a negative 5. So what's negative 5 minus 5? Negative 10. So what's negative 10 minus 5? Negative 15. So what we see here is when we multiply two positives, we got a positive number. When we multiplied a positive times a negative over here, what did we see? This one was negative, this one was negative, this one was negative. These were all positives. We got a what as our answer? A negative number. But notice the 5 times the 1 was still 5, 5 times 2 was still 10, and 5 times 3 was still 15. Let's look at some of these. So if we see a 5 times a 3 equals a negative 15, and we're going to add 5 this time all through, 5 times 2, negative 10, 5 times 1, negative 5, negative 5 times 0 is 0. So these were all negatives, these were positives, and each one was a negative times a positive equaling a negative. Down here, remember 0 times any number is 0, so that one doesn't really count, but it's helpful to see the pattern. If I add 5, add 5, add 5, if I complete the pattern over this way, and I add 5, negative 5 times a negative 1 is a positive 5. So a negative times a negative is a positive. We saw this when we were subtracting and we made that happy face. That's why. Because when you multiply two negatives, it's a positive. Okay? So division and multiplication are opposites and their rules both apply. So let's look at the rules. Write this down with me. Multiplication rules. We are just multiplying integers right now. The product, which means multiply, of two real numbers with the same sign is positive. So whether they are both positives or both negatives, the answer is going to be positive. The product of two real numbers with different signs, okay, these were same, these are different signs right here, is negative. So the 2 is positive, the 5 is negative, the answer is negative 10. The 7 is is negative, the 2 is positive, the answer is negative 14. All right, so go ahead and try these. Pause the video, and I'll be back in just a second to go through the answers. Okay, so what is 2 times 12? 2 times 12 is 24. A negative times a positive is a negative. 8 times 2 is 16. And a negative times a negative is a positive, so we just write it 16. Okay? So for 1, we had a negative times a positive equaling a negative, and for 2, we had a negative times a negative equaling a positive. Different signs, negative, same signs, positive. Any number times 0 is 0. Any number times 1 is itself, but if it's a negative 1, and this is a positive, same or different signs. If they're different, it's always negative. So just like here, remember, the product of two with different signs is negative. Okay, what about the next one? There's 3 here. 4 times a negative 10. Okay, well, we know that's 40. And if we look at this, it's going to be a negative 40 times a negative 12. So the answer is going to be positive, and 40 times 12. Okay, let's think about this. Well, 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 4 is 8. Hold the place value because now we're going to be like, it's going to be like a 10. So 1 times 0. So 480. All right. And we don't need that plus sign in front. Over here, negative times a negative is a positive. So this would be positive 12 times a negative 9 would be a negative 108. Dividing integers have the exact same rules, okay? If you divide with the same sign, it's positive. If you divide with different signs, it's negative. So same sign, positive, different signs, negative. For example, same sign, positive. If we did negative 8 divided by negative 6, it would still be 3. 18 divided by negative 6 is negative 3. If we did this, it would be negative 18 divided by positive 6 would be negative 3. So let's look at some examples. Same sign, so it's positive, and the answer would be 5. Okay, make sure you pause the video and try the next 5 on your own. All right, so different signs here. Different signs, so negative, and the answer would be 7. Different signs here, so the answer would be negative, and it would be 4. Okay, different signs, so it's negative, and the answer would be 8. Okay, let's talk about this one. If I have nothing and I divide it by something, everybody gets nothing. So if I divide nothing by 7 people, we all get nothing. I can't divide something by nothing. This is what we call undefined. We're going to talk about that more in class tomorrow. So make sure you have these two starred on your paper. I will be looking for this tomorrow. So, nothing divided by something is nothing, but you cannot divide something by nothing. It's undefined. All right, see you next time.